Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Mindset U. I'm Punchline J. We got Robo Rances next to me and King Mo, aka Moody Mo, whatever you want to call him. Just don't call him King Mo to his face. He will like it. Today's episode.
He really likes it when you call him Momo.
I call my dad Momo. That's funny.
Aw. If your dad's called Momo, I'm okay with Momo.
He doesn't like it either. So. Today's episode is about finance. I'm poor. These guys talk about money. It's a great time. Don't put money on your credit card. Hide everything under your mattress. And spend it like you got it.
Yeah, that's not what we said.
You know, find out. This is your reason to listen now. Find out if I'm lying or not. Don't forget to check us out on wherever you can find podcasts, whether it's YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Don't forget to check out VidaProject.com. You can find a bunch of great stuff there, including the episodes. But more importantly, there's some great tools that these guys can help you with. Enjoy this episode.
Okay, so the topic we're going to start off with is financial. So remember, it's a mindset podcast. So we're talking about...
Talk to him.
What?
You guys are the coaches. I'm not here for mindset.
I'm saying that last time we talked about, like, in what angle are we talking about this? Like, from the mindset perspective of, like, you know... And heard you guys talking before. I think it's a big part about, you know, being honest and vulnerable and not trying to pretend like we're financial gurus. We're people on a mission, you know, to continue to figure out our own finances and our journeys and shit. So I think that's the angle for it.
Can't stop staring at your lips right now.
Not because they're shiny.
Yeah, they're so shiny.
Just put
lip gloss?
chapstick.
Yeah, how much lip gloss did you put on?
I have to put a lot. My lips like suck them up real quick.
I can't tell if you're trying to be funny or if you're being dead serious, and I think it was a mix of the two. I think you knew how funny that was going to be, but you're also very serious about your lips just taking up all the moisture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was an accurate description. Okay, so the premise to start with is, I think, is what do we think about the thing, like that vulnerability aspect of like, you know, what are you guys saying like before? Like, was it the comment that you said, Mo? Like, we're not, or was it you? We're not
rich.
Yeah.
We're not rich people.
Yeah, starting from that angle, and then where we're at, what we're doing, what our mindset is.
I just became newly hood rich because of wedding presents. I have a savings account now. It's sweet.
What do you mean? You have a savings?
No, I have like my own savings account, but
you
like
have a joint one now.
Yeah, that actually has like money in it, not just like a few grand. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm scared to even look at it or touch it. Just like stay there.
Are you doing anything with it? Like invest in it?
Well, first we got to pay some like for like the reception and stuff like that. We got a few things to take care of.
Is like for the actual wedding?
Yeah,
money for the actual wedding.
Yeah. Because that shit is not. Even though we're doing it low key, it is not cheap.
Yeah, I'm gonna do what Rances did and just like have one in a park.
Yeah, you know.
And then just like.
But it's also a joint thing. It's like also like because it's also like her birthday and stuff like that. So it's like it's just a good way to cover. We could have just rented it for like a day or two, but we have it for 5 days, kind of thing. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's a mix. It's like a fake honeymoon.
So what scares you about touching the savings account?
Nothing. No, nothing scares me. It's just like nothing really scares me about what's in, touching it. It's just a matter of being like, okay, like, no, we have to like use this for like adult reasons. Like, let's not just book, Disneyland Tokyo right now, kind of thing, because we have money.
So is that how you always been? Kind of like just reactive? Like,
I'm just fucking, I'm going to give me money and I'm going to spend it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I think like you've always kind of been like that, right? Since you were a kid?
Yeah.
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 because I remember I was like, I mean, I don't want this to sound like a douche, but Jay, when I was a kid, like me and Rich, I like aligned with Rich a little bit more because we like consider ourselves to be poor.
Yeah.
And then Jay was always the one that had everything, right? So like we would go to Jay's house for like hanging out, toys, food, right? Like he had the video games. Like I didn't have that shit in my house. So I was always curious to see if you perceived your spending habits to be the same.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Jay would buy us McDonald's all the time.
Oh yeah. I always look at money as like, as long as you're working, you'll make more, and to spend it on the people you love and just do stuff that you want with it, kind of thing. So I never had like a thing like, oh, I need to save money. Like my dad's really good at saving money, and I'm more like my mom, where my mom's just like, we're gonna fucking ball out because we could die tomorrow, so it is what it is, kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, she's very responsible with money, but she's also at the same time like, we gotta live, kind of thing, you know. It's a lot of what's it called from Parks and Rec, when it's like treat yourself kind of thing. It's a lot of that, and I find myself doing that to myself a lot because I'm like, fuck it, like, you know, I'm gonna make the money anyway. I'm gonna get paid next week. It's fine. Just do what you want, kind of thing. Now, don't go crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I have like an extravagant lifestyle or anything like that, but also at the same time, I'm like, fuck
so
it.
like when you get paid, right? Like what's your protocol in terms of like how do you account for the dollar and where does it go?
So when I get paid, I pay my bills first.
Okay.
Kind of thing. And then like what I have left over, I'm like, okay, like what am I going to do with this kind of thing? It's like, I'm going to go to food, you know, just little things. But I think it's more so of like the sporadic things where like I see a pair of like boxing gloves. I'm like, oh, like $120? Take it. You know, oh, t-shirts, take it. Kind of thing.
How'd you save up for your place?
So I had a good savings at that point and stuff like that because I never touched it. The one good thing about like what I do is like I never touch anything I have in savings. So like when I get paid, I take care of the bills. I put a little bit away. I always do, like I used to do, like, you know, back when I wasn't making like decent money, when I was making like, you know, under 50K working at Pix and stuff in the beginning. It was like put $50 in savings every time I get paid, and then, you know, pay the bills, and then whatever I have left over. It's like I always had a good savings, so I'll never touch that. So if I want to get like sporadic and like buy something, it was just from my checking account. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go dip into my savings and take all this money out. I always liked having like a little egg, but then like with buying the place and stuff like that, I used a lot of that egg, you know, to get this place kind of thing. And then I was like, oh, I'm poor again. Like, this is great. Like, I have my own place and stuff, and you know, the mortgage is still cheaper than the rent I was paying in Jersey City, but. It was like, oh, okay, like, you know, I'm not living paycheck to paycheck, but also at the same time, like, being an adult's fucking a lot kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have a backup plan in your parents if anything goes wrong?
Yeah. Totally. I know that I can go to them if like really hits the fan or something like that, you know, and they'll help me to the best of their ability, you know. And
so you feel like there's a safety net?
Not so much that I feel like there's a safety net, because it's literally like if I ever ask them for money, it's like, it's always like, can I have like $100 kind of thing? It's never like, oh, I need like $10,000 kind of thing, you know. But it's just one of those. It's just one of those, like, I know if I ever need like a small amount of cash, I can like, can you guys hook me up, and when I get paid, I'll pay you back kind of thing. And it's also the first, you know, I try to pay them back immediately and stuff like that. So it's not like like I have a fallback plan, but if it's like for like the immediate, like, oh, like I have such and such in checking, I'll pull something over from savings and stuff like that to cover the bare necessities. But if we're like planning something, and it's like, oh, like, can I just pay this now for like the down payment, and I'll give you guys the money? They're like, yeah, sure, not a problem.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing. So it's just good to know that like I have somebody that I have a loan shark, essentially. You know what I mean? A very lenient, that's not going to break my legs loan shark, where it's like, I know if I have something coming up that I necessarily, you know, and they're always like, don't dip into your savings, don't dip into your savings, just ask us if that's the case, kind of thing. So it's always that, you know. So I got that from them, where it's like, you have your savings, you don't touch it, you know, do whatever you want, kind of thing. It will help if needed.
I wanna ask about like credit and all of that.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of see your perspective, because I feel like it's going to be a very, very different one before
this
we
is
go
going to
into
be a very different one,
Yeah.
because I mean, It's interesting because right now I'm going through I guess a financial shift. If you were to talk about it in mindset, so the audience, just to let the audience know, I'm employed now again after 7 years. So it's a very different kind of world. So before I was making good money and I would spend it.
7 years ago.
7 years ago, yeah. As a teacher, I was making like 85,000 in my 20s. Just fucking driving Infinities, BMWs, just going on trips, spending, putting everything on a credit card. Like, I didn't give a fuck. Then I went into entrepreneurship and became poor as hell. Fucked up my credit. Slept on the floor. Sometimes had like $2. I have screenshots of this, like $2 in my account.
They were screaming, right?
Yeah, I heard them screaming. Yeah. It was like $2 in my account, and I was just didn't know what to do. Like scrapping for change in my car, trying to buy a cookie so I could eat. Mm-hmm. So there was like a huge kind of journey that I went through, and now I'm making money, and sometimes I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this shit, because I'm like, I don't want to spend it on anything. I was like, all right, I'll buy some clothes, maybe. Yeah. I'll hook up my desk.
So you learned to be super frugal.
And now I'm learning to kind of, again, go back into that space of like, it's okay
treat yourself.
to treat yourself.
Yeah,
treat yourself.
A little give and take kind of thing.
Yeah.
But how about, you mentioned when in childhood, like the dynamic.
Oh, the childhood, yeah. I mean, I still have that mindset, like the scarcity kind of thing that I'm aware of, where I'm like, damn, man, I'm like, I get nervous of what to do with the money, because I'm like, yo, what if I put it here and I lose it, or I get scared that I'm not doing it enough. Like, I should probably save more money. Right. So I do see that mindset come in, and it definitely comes from like my parents. My parents, a lot of the arguments I could remember were about money. So money has always been this like topic of, there are two things in my family that like had taboo to it: sex and money. Those were the two things in my family that like it was very difficult to talk about. And there were a lot of problems, especially with my father, things like that. So, it's always had this kind of like weird vibe to it that I'm still, I think, trying to get over.
So how did that come up with when you were, as you said, during entrepreneurship, poor?
Yeah. I mean, at that point, I had no choice. Like, there's nothing I could do. So I just kind of sat in it.
Did that validate kind of your views or create new ones? Like,
it created new ones. I think I let go of the idea that money is like, it is a necessity, but it isn't the end all be all. And that like, as long as, because I always thought about this, like why homeless people become homeless. I was like, if you have a skill, right, and you have some type of education, right, then you always have an opportunity, I think, right? And education not meaning from like your typical, just like shit. Shit that can help other people. So I always thought about this, and I'm like, I wonder what like drives them to be homeless, right? And the thing is, like, they lose hope, and then they go to some type of coping mechanism, which is like drugs, right? Or they feel that they can't do anything about it. They can't change it. And I was like, well, I don't feel like my mindset will ever shift into that direction. Like, I always believe that I'll be able to control some aspect of my future. So then I was like, why is money important? It's like, money is not important. It's the tool, but it's more so like my belief in myself and what I'm able to do with the money. And once I got like that idea, I think sleeping on the floor and not having money like allowed me to understand that, like, yeah, everything will be okay. It's very uncomfortable. It sucks, but you're going to be all right. I guess I always had the safety net too of like, and my parents are always there too.
Yeah, it's like you always go home kind of thing.
Always go home if you need to. And then I think about those homeless people. I'm like, maybe they don't have that system. Maybe they don't have that support.
I think that's a lot of it too. Like, when people get displaced and stuff like that, you just get put in a really shitty situation. It's really hard to crawl your way out of it sometimes, because then it comes down to like, having family and then opportunities and stuff like that too. It's real hard if you can't make it to work because you don't have the money to get on transportation.
But that's where I think like the opportunity thing, I feel like there's always opportunity. I just think it's harder to find when you're in a place of survival.
It also comes
It's
down
like
to
you're-
who's going to hire a homeless person too. At the end, you know what I mean? Like if you don't have anything to get yourself together to go on an interview and stuff like that, it's real hard to, you know.
So I had read a story about this person that became homeless, and that made me like realize like, yo, anyone can become homeless. And it was like this person was hired to do a job, and it was I think in Maine, you know, and you remember Maine is cold, and
Yeah.
so this person was like from this area. They moved to Maine to do this job, and they were doing this job. They were looking for an apartment while they were there, and while they were there to do the job, they're going to hotels, and quickly that becomes unsustainable. They can't find a place within their budget, right? And then they're like, I'll just sleep in my car tonight, whatever. And then that becomes a couple weeks, and they're still going to the job. They don't have anywhere to shower, so they're like getting there earlier to like shower in the sink.
Yeah.
And then now it's getting cold, so they're in the car, and they can't run the car the whole night because gas and everything. So they're like, all right, I need to find somewhere else to sleep. And they're in a homeless shelter. Like it was like all these like things that you can see easily happening, and it's like all of a sudden, now my job let me go because I have a smell and all this stuff. I don't have enough money to get back home. I don't have, like, it was like, wow, these circumstances are like just a split opportunity away from happening. So that kind of shifted my perspective on the homeless, because I guess we always, as a society, as a community, we always try to separate like, it's something that they did, the homeless people. And I grew up in New York City, and there's tons of homeless people, especially during the time when I grew up. Right, there's all this like judgment, like, why don't you try to do better? Why don't you? And it's like, now when I see someone homeless that's just like, they're cleaning windshield right at a stop, I'm like, yo, that's hustle. You know what I'm saying?
It's a lot
whatever it is that they're doing a hustle. They are doing the work that everyone's judging them for, right? And that shifted my perspective on the homeless in that sense, because again, I come from a family of entrepreneurship, business ownership. And it's the same idea of like, we make our own destiny. We figure it out. We do whatever we need to do. But there's that level that I believe that it's super important, which is like, all of that is possible with your community. If that community is taken away from you for whatever reason, everything gets not twice as hard. I think 50 times as hard.
Oh yeah.
Like just right now, just to give the audience understanding, I also started a real job for the first time ever.
He has an employee ID number.
So this is a big shift for me. But on the same note, like...
Wait, when's the last time you had a job?
I was maybe 21, 22.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I was... That was working at a restaurant.
Chang's.
Yeah. Chang's, right? Yeah.
So, so for me, it's a big shift. I also like, because of, and honestly, I think it's because of that article. It's like, yo, how important that made for me, how important community is. That I have no shame in asking for help. Immediately, like right now with me starting this job, my wife also has a full-time job. We don't have childcare. We're trying to figure that out. So what I did is I sent a message to all my friends saying, hey, I need help with these days and this, and created a form so that everyone could fill out. And we have it on the schedule. This person's picking up on Monday, Tuesday, all this stuff. I have no shame in asking for help in the community, because I'm like, yo, this is just a moment away that everything could go south quickly. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, because the idea of like, I don't know that it's so much mindset when it comes to becoming homeless. I think it's there's another layer to that, which is connection.
Well, wouldn't you argue that connection is part of mindset? Like the people that you surround yourself with is like the level of mindset that you're going to have. Like I believe that if you hang around a bunch of bums who spend their money all the time, you're going to probably behave the same way.
Yeah, but also at the same time, it also comes down to who you're able to socialize yourself with and stuff like that. Like, you know, like we're all, I would say, very lucky that we all have some sort of, you know what I mean? Some people don't even don't have that at all. They don't even have a friend.
Exactly. That's why I said about your parents, and then Mo brought it up too. Like we have that kind of support.
Yeah.
There's a layer, but like, you know, Paula and I talk about this often too, is like our parents came, at least my parents, I don't know, you guys. Yeah. But we have ancestors that came to a new world with no like support, not even the language, nothing, just start from scratch. Like that's crazy. Like no nothing, literally no nothing. It's like we get there, we're gonna figure it out. And that's something to be we're standing on those shoulders, you know, that community, that support. And then when I think about like my parents, my family, like we have a huge family, right? Tons of new uncles that I'm meeting all the time, and actual like blood. My father,
not Dominican uncles,
No, my father has 20 brothers and sisters that we know of, and my mom had closer to. She was a smaller side. It was like 8 or 9.
I like that. That's a smaller side. I like that. Whole football team.
Paola's father, similar thing, has like 25 brothers and sister, right? So you think about like that idea, and it's like you almost bring your community with you because it's such a big family. It's like it was a survival need to have that many connections, you know. And then, like you said, the Dominican uncles, like there's the idea that like is a friend of yours that your kids call uncle, you know. That's also a representation of that. It's like you're in a new world. You have to set a community. You have to set a family, you know. And I think it's how they survived, and it's like a skill set that is important to be able to stand before you can even talk about building a financial thing. So I agree with you. Yeah, that is part of the mindset, being open, and you know, it goes down to a lot of the principles we talk about in mindset, which is being vulnerable, being willing to share and ask for help, and so on and so forth.
I think that was a big reason that my parents divorced, were that like we didn't really have family here. You know, like we didn't have that same support system. Like my parents came to Puerto Rico by themselves. My uncle lives here, but they weren't close. Like my mom's, they weren't close at that time. So there were no support systems, right? So I think that's a huge reason why my parents got divorced. They figured out like, you know what, it's better that I try to solve this on my own.
Yeah, that's one of my bigger fears of like. Like the wedding, like the wedding party, that, you know, the whole thing was like village, you know, it takes a village for all this, and it made me really fortunate, but that's also what like makes me kind of scared to like move like across the country and stuff like that, where I don't have any family, because not having that support system of like, what happens if we have a kid? We're gonna have to move back. Like
I just had that conversation with Marina too, because she was just like, oh, let's move down to like Lake Hapatong or whatever it is, New Jersey. I'm like, where the fuck is that? And I'm like, well, we're gonna be like 2 hours away from almost everybody. I'm like, I don't know about that. It's like if we have kids, I'm like, who's gonna take like?
So
I don't want to stay
the
with my
thing
kid
that
all
me
day.
and Ash talk about is sometimes like renting out the place that we have now, and then going to a place maybe for like a year and renting, and then seeing, you know, kind of get that experience of like being somewhere else kind of thing, and then, you know, let's say we decide that maybe we do want to have kids or something like that, and it's like, we got to go back home.
Yeah. For us, is similar. We actually, I don't know, we've spoken about this here, but Paula and I have been talking about for years, like moving to another country, you know, and it's really inspired from like that story I said about our parents. Like, they went to a whole new country. Like that takes bravery. That takes a whole nother level. So we want to kind of challenge ourselves with that. But I would definitely say it's only because our kids are reaching a certain age where they're able to do a lot themselves. But we were in Jersey City, and we ended up coming back
it's
when our kids were born,
right? When you think about
and it was technically 10 miles away. in Jersey traffic time, that's like
It's 2 hours.
Yeah.
On a bad, it's 2 hours on 1 and 9 on a bad day.
Yeah, I mean, this like when we think about a group of people that use community to make money, like the group of people that come to my mind are the Jewish community.
Yeah.
And they do such an amazing job of keeping everybody together.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not just like blood families, like the whole entire
Jewish
community,
community.
Jewish
Yeah.
community is family. And it just makes sense why they're able to sustain, like they're very good at business. They're amazing at business. They all align in the same type of thinking. They all take care of each other.
culture.
And it's powerful, like
They're-
what they're able to do.
There's I forgot the name of the how it's said. It's like a Hebrew word, but it's basically like if someone in the community opens up a business, let's say a photographer, right? It's like a core value that the community has to support that business, even if it's like there's better options. Like you think about like Amazon, right? It's like, oh, I could buy this from Amazon, but no, it's code that we have to buy it from our people.
Yeah.
And even if they're not, the whole community comes to support that person and also to give them feedback, hard feedback. Like you need to get better and
At
hold
this,
that standard, which does like two things is like you mentioned like they're good at business. That's a common thing, but it's like it's part of the culture to constantly look for ways to improve and also be able to receive criticism. And I've heard a lot that in synagogue, it's part of the way that we go. Or if you go to a Catholic church or a Christian church, that the preacher talks to you. Then in a synagogue is a different dynamic where it's like you challenge, and it's like this community kind of challenge aspect where that's how you come to the understanding of beliefs as well.
That's the key thing, the synagogue, because a lot of conversations, like productive conversations, happen there. Yeah. It's kind of like a weekly L10 meeting.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
L10 meeting is what we do to make sure we're getting traction for the business.
Yeah. And they just like, it's a whole bunch of people thinking the same way and consistently trying to get better and trying to elevate each other. And I think like there are very few types of communities that are able to do that. And the systems they created are pretty powerful.
So just to fill in on the part with me in terms of my financial experience is
sorry, we didn't ask you.
That's usually the way it goes.
Now you know how I feel with my friends sometimes.
That would be the thing. And then like in when we were in the center, like this is how conversation would go. I'm facilitating, and then a week later, everyone was like, "Why don't you share anything?" And I'm like,
You never asked.
"No." So I'm being a little more aggressive up to like, hear my story, guys. But the way that I grew up was like, again, my father, entrepreneur. So we all played a heavy role in the business, right? My father's business. My dad would take me to work since I maybe 5 years old, maybe 4. I don't remember. But I know that by 5 years old, I was starting to get paid. It was like $5 a Saturday or whatever. But I would go to work with him. And I remember this is like seared in my brain, how dirty I would show up, because I remember the tub being black when my mom was showering me. And my mom would always get upset. And my dad is like, I don't know how he gets that dirty. I don't end up that dirty. But my dad would work.
He's doing paperwork.
No, it would be like, my dad, where his business was refrigeration. So it would be like a lot of in basements of these New York City restaurants, supermarkets, things like that, or on the roof, right? So my job was just to hand my dad tools and stuff like that. But I think I used to like make myself dirty to feel like I was working. And then, as my dad's business developed and improved, like then he had his location where it was a parts store. Then I was working in the parts store, and it was always a family kind of situation where we had to go to work. And to me, that developed that work mindset, right? And I'm the youngest of all my siblings. All my siblings were spending money. My one older brother always wasted. As soon as he got paid, he would go buy the latest Jordans, the latest gadget, whatever, and wouldn't have money by day 2. And all my siblings would always look at me and ask me for money because I was crazy about savings. I always would save my money or whatever. The problem is that some of my siblings were a little bit of assholes and would steal money from me. And so then I started giving my money to my mom to hold for me. And my mom was like, we would keep an account. Okay, I got whatever.
I'm glad I'm not the only one whose mom was their banker too.
Yeah. Well,
My mom was my banker too.
Yeah.
she wasn't a great banker because
She was also skimming money too.
I'd be like, "Oh, mom, can I get $200 from her?" She's like, "Oh, not right now. I need to move money around, whatever." So I was saving from I think from 7 years old, right? I wanted to buy a little motorcycle. So there was like this, those tiny little motorcycles.
Yeah.
You see them a lot now. There was this one kid in my block in New York City who had one, and they would take it out like one day every summer. And I was enamored with that.
Yeah.
I was like, I want one of those. How much do they cost? And someone said 1,000. So in my mind, I was like, I need to save $1,000, right? And I'm chipping away. I'm saving all my money and so on and so forth. I was similar to you in that sense.
Yeah.
I always had money, so with my friends, I would take care of them. But it would always be like, we go to the 99-cent store. I'd be like, I got you, homie, or food or whatever. But I always had a big portion where I would save. And then giving my money to my mom, I was keeping account. I'm like, all right, mom, I want to use like $50 from that. She always pushed me away until I'm like asking her, how much money do I have total? How much? And she'd be like, I don't know, maybe like 200. I'm like, no.
Fuck, you talking about 200?
And then by the time we moved to Jersey, I was well over 1,000. But I was so upset about. I was like, you know what? Keep the money. I'm starting from scratch.
Yeah.
And I started holding on to my own money, and that having the money myself created a whole new experience for me because now I was able to see money in, money out, and then I got even more about my money. And all of that experience, for me, I always had pretty good savings, and I would my experience is similar to my kids where they save their money and they try to use us to pay for all the things and give us reasons, whatever.
Yeah.
I was great at that too. So I was able to do a lot of things for myself that my friends couldn't do, so I can make decisions about this, whatever. I'm gonna I had a little scooter, a motorized scooter, which is my version of the motorcycle.
Yeah.
So I was able to buy these things and do all that, and I was balling. Everyone saw me, oh, you got money, you're rich, whatever. It's like, no, because I managed my money, but then I also had the opportunity of being able to work with my dad. So that's my kind of view with money. While my wife, on the other hand, she's like, I got money. Spend it.
Yeah.
So that was a big clash for us.
There's got to be a balance in that too, because it's almost like, what's the intention of saving money? Mm-hmm. Right. So I think if your intention behind saving money is fear dominated, I think that's not necessarily 100% healthy, right? Because also the way that, let's say, Paola thinks about money, it's like, you know what? If I spend money, I'm going to make more money. Mm-hmm. Right. And that to me is very empowering because you're like, oh, I'm good at making money. Fuck that. I'm going to spend whatever I got.
Yeah.
So there's this balance, this unique balance that I'm learning now when it comes to making money, saving money. There has to be purpose or intention. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've understood is every dollar should be accounted for. I was like, before you even move it anywhere, it should have a place to go. And some of it has to work for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Thank God I have Ashley to help me with that because I hate numbers. I was like, whatever. Thank God I have somebody who is responsible, and she's also kind of similar. She's like, if I want to treat myself, I'll treat myself kind of thing. But she also knows moderation. Mm-hmm. And me, I'm like, I just bought 6 new boxing gloves. She's like, you have 2 hands. Can we break 1 pair of gloves in before you buy 6 new ones, please? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That makes sense.
So I don't buy shit like that.
Yeah. But I use them though. So it's to me, it's like I also like collecting shit.
I use things until they have a hole in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like that too.
Yeah, but I don't buy Jordans or anything like that.
Yeah.
All my sneakers are Vans. They're fucking $60. You know what I mean?
For me, I
buy
love
t-shirts.
I love buying tech stuff. Right.
Yeah.
The thing with the way I buy tech stuff is that I'll research the hell out of it. and I'll have it in the cart for about a year before I'm like, hey, this has survived a year and I still want it. All right, now I'll pull the trigger. So like you see my purchases all happen like in twice a year in one big bulk here and here. But all those things have been there for the longest time that I've been thinking about.
Yeah, I'm kind of similar too. I don't really, even with the tech, like the two things I bought, I was like thinking about it, and I've spoken to Rancis about it. I was like, I want an iMac.
Yeah.
I want a Mac laptop. I was like, I want these things. And finally I was just like, all right, pull the trigger. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where my money goes now is Uber Eats. That's pretty much.
Yeah, I don't fucking do that.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Rancis about that. I was like, that's a fucking waste of money.
It really is. So we had this conversation because me and Ash made a deal where it's kind of like we're not allowed to order food during the week. On Saturdays, you know, if you want to order food and nobody feels like cooking, there's no more leftovers, we'll order something. We usually have like pizza on Saturday nights. We watch fights and have pizza and stuff like that. And like I've noticed, like, I'm like, oh shit, I have money. I was like, oh my god.
You know, funny story about that is like the first place that Paula and I bought, all of our savings came from
Not eating out.
Yeah, we spent a year that we didn't eat out. And that's how we saved enough to buy our first place. That's how much money goes in there.
Yeah. Marina and I do a monthly financial meeting where we track all of our expenses from our joint account.
Yeah.
And we track groceries and food. We have a budget for groceries of $400 per month and a budget for dining out.
$400 a month?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but they don't have kids.
I know.
And then $300 for dining out.
Okay.
In food alone, that's $700.
Yeah.
We go over that budget.
There's no way
It's
to not
fucking
go.
crazy.
Yeah. There's no way.
I'm like, that's why when I looked at DoorDash or Uber Eats, one time I was at work and I was like, yo, I'm hungry, man. I want to order like Chipotle.
Yeah.
I went on DoorDash and I was like, fucking $30 for a bowl. I was like, I'm a fucking starve. Fuck that. I was like, I'm not spending that money.
See, that's the only time where I'm like, whatever, bro, take my money.
Trick yourself.
Yeah. I'm like,
Nah, I'm like, fuck that.
anything else, like I'm pretty good with like not buying stuff, but when it comes to food, I'm like, I'm gonna have Wendy's today.
I'll fucking drive and get it.
Now that's my thing.
I drive and get
That's
it.
my way around it. This week has been like, I'm gonna get chicken nuggets.
That's why I said I'm like the worst to order food for people because I don't know how to do it. I was like, I don't order food.
There's another thing that you and I share in common. You haven't spoken about it, but is also not eat.
Yeah, that's how fucking eat.
For me, it's like whether like it's like making food at home is like, oh, you can make this, whatever. Either I'm tired of it or I'm just like, oh, there's too much energy. I'll just not eat. That's how I used to always like deal with it. It's like, I don't need to eat. That's a luxury. That's how I see it.
That's how I think about it too.
Speaking of that, there's a lot of how I view like spending money. To me, everything I'm spending on is a luxury. Like I said, the tech stuff, that's why it sits there because it's a luxury. Until I've built up this argument against myself where it's like, no, I need this. I'm like, no, that's a luxury. I don't need it. And like you see our spending, like between Paula and I, like I rarely like purchase things like clothes and stuff like that. I'll keep clothes forever. I'm like, no, I'll make it fit again. If I'm fat now, it's going to be tight for this while. Then it's going to loosen up.
Yeah, same thing. I'm like, I'm not buying fucking new clothes. I'm not buying new clothes. Get the fuck out of here. No way.
And then to connect that to the whole community thing that we were talking about, like I get a lot of clothes from friends. You know, I have a few friends that are exactly my stature. And so some of them either got money or bad spending habits. And I'm like, I'll take it. Yeah. I'll take it. Yeah. Whole new wardrobe. Just donate it.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like
Paula loves to buy clothes, though.
See, I just buy T-shirts. I just spend a lot of money on T-shirts. I have to constantly donate them. Yeah.
Right now, I fell in love with this company called FLX.
Yeah.
They're not sponsoring us. Don't
no,
fucking
they're not sponsoring us,
Okay.
but their fucking clothes are amazing.
Yeah.
They're like, this is FLX, this is FLX, the shirt under is FLX, right? And the reason I love it is because it's so fucking comfortable and so affordable.
That sounds like an ad, bro.
It sounds like an ad.
Yo, it's FLX. You want to sponsor us? I'll keep talking about you guys because I love your clothes. Like, there's not many things that I love, right, in terms of like clothes like that. But
I thought he was going to say in general. Jesus.
Uniqlo's also really, really good clothes
Yeah.
too. Yeah, they're pretty comfortable.
So I always have, and this is why I say like have these friends that are specifically kind of built like me. One of them is a bodybuilder, and
Do
one
you
of
do it
them
on purpose?
what make friends with them? No, but maybe there's a subliminal thing there.
Oh, you're tiny too. Come here, buddy.
Because I have a body. For me, it's challenging buying clothes, and it's because the way my body is framed out. Like I have huge legs and huge hips and a huge ass. Finding pants that fit me is hard as hell.
FLX.
And so one of these friends, this is the one that has money and he gets everything tailor made. So
That's insane.
it's like
awesome.
fitted for me. Yeah. And then the other one is Dominican. So a lot of similar kind of frameworks. Yeah, it spends a lot of money. But the whole thing with like if I buy something, like I don't buy much online or stuff like that because it won't fit me, you know? And if it won't fit me and I spent money on it, I look at it like, I was like, I got to figure out how to recoup this, whatever. Because Paula buys something, she's like, this one didn't fit me. I just donated it. I'm like, what do you just spent money on it? You wore it once. Like she's so casual about it.
Yeah.
The more I hang out with Paolo, the more like, wow, we are a lot alike.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes me laugh.
Yeah.
She yeah, but to your point, there is a balance because like for me, if it wasn't for her, I'll be living under a bridge
In a box with a paper plate.
and because like for me
barehanded.
when when I look at money, like spending money, I was like, it needs to make sense. It needs to be an investment. So like when it comes to like business stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna, I'll do this, but I'm gonna do it in like the cheapest way possible, where I'll do the work and so on and so forth. And then that's been a big shift where we've been trying to look at the way we operate in the business. Like, no, we shouldn't be doing this. This is how do we value our time and our expertise versus, so like the hourly wage concept. How much am I worth an hour? Does it make sense to me spending my hour doing that or hiring out and it's going to be less than what I'm worth an hour?
I think the biggest shift was one time Paula asked me a question. It was like, do you want it? I think you asked me too. Whenever that question comes, like whenever I'm having trouble about a buying decision, I'm like, do I want it? And if the answer is yes, like I really feel that the answer is like, yeah, I want this fucking thing. And then I just fucking do it. Mm-hmm. And like, I'll find some way to fucking figure this shit out, you know? And I think that was a big shift for those things. Because I think when you ask the question, like, when do you need it? You can always find a way of be like, nah, I don't really need it. Or, yeah, I need it, right? Like, yes, I need this thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, but why do you need this thing, right? You can argue for why you need this thing or why you don't need this thing. And then you can be in the same that loop, right? Yeah. But if you ask yourself why, if you want it, and you really want it, then it's like, okay.
Yeah,
then you understand the consequences that come along with wanting something.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. Where I mentioned before is like, now, where does credit and credit cards and borrowing money come into your life and the way you view finances?
I have good credit, but I also use my credit card pretty heavy. So, it's one of those things that it goes in the fuck it, I'll pay it off column kind of thing. Mm. And the older I get, the more I'm like, you're a fucking idiot kind of thing. So it's more now that it's like, okay, now that, we're in this together kind of thing, we can plan things. It's more like you leave your credit card at home. Mm-hmm. You don't need to, it's okay to have it. You don't always need to use it. So that's what I'm learning now more as an adult, where it's like, all right, pay off your credit card and stop putting, like, you paying it off to just put the same amount back onto it kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm learning now that's like, stop it. Don't do it.
How about you, Mo?
So I used to have amazing credit. I was very good with credit cards until I became an entrepreneur, and then that went all down the drain. And it was intentful. It wasn't like I felt like I could have still had a way to hold it up, but I was like, everything that matters is only the business. So when I focused only on the business and putting all the money into that, that's when I lost the credit.
This might be the first time he gets beat.
He ran away. That then when I became an entrepreneur, it dropped a lot, and that sucks, right? Because I'm still recovering for that. But I would say like in the past year now, I've done a decent job of getting the score back up. So the way that I view credit now is that it's very important. It's important because it gives you leverage to get things done. So the way that I spend money on my credit card now is if I don't have the money in cash to pay for it, then I'm not going to use the credit card. So every time I use the credit card, I make sure that I have the money in cash. Right? And if I don't, it has to be an emergency.
Got it.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I will spend the money on a credit card if it's an emergency. But otherwise, I try to hold tight now.
When you say you have the money in cash, is that like, for example, if you have $10,000 in savings, you won't, put in credit more than $10,000, or is it like
no, savings don't count?
Okay,
savings don't count now.
I'm the same way. I don't count my savings.
It has to be in my checking account.
Yeah.
Like if I want to buy a Mac, right, and the Mac is $2,000, and I don't have $2,000. If I don't even have 75% of that money, like 75%, I'll be like, all right, if I can pay 75% of it, like I'm good, whatever. But if I don't have that 75%, then I'm not buying the Mac. Like it's just nah, you got to wait, bro. Yeah. That's the way I approach it.
I'm learning that more now in the past few years of like being a homeowner and stuff like that. Where I'm
learning that now too.
It's like, stop putting everything on your credit card, you fucking idiot.
Do you feel like in the past, do you feel like you had a view of credit card was like extra money?
Yeah, it was just like, put it on there. Fuck it.
Bro, I had like 25,000. Just like, I was like, oh, we're going to Spain?
Yeah.
I don't got money to go to Spain.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a credit card. Out.
Yep.
Put like 7 G's on that credit card, that Spain trip that we did.
Yeah.
On that credit card.
That's interesting. Because like I don't go as far as you. Like if I don't have the cash, I won't put it on the credit card. But to me, I keep in mind like whatever is balances on my credit cards, that weighs heavy on me. Like it literally stresses me out.
Yeah.
So like it stays there all the time. So I won't put something on the credit card that, again, if I'm like, that's where it goes into like I make these decisions like once a year, where it's like I've been kind of saving money and whatever. I'll still put it on the credit card, but I'm preparing for this purchase, but not in the same level of like if I don't have the cash, I won't buy it. But I also see, like you mentioned, like credit is such a important tool, and exercising it for me as well. My credit hit a bottom of the barrel. And this was more so connected to entrepreneurship, but also the market crash in the earlier 2008. Yeah. We had recently purchased our place, and my wife worked in the mortgage industry. Mm-hmm. So she lost her job, and my business was supporting the whole thing. And then we lost where we were working for, so we had to kind of start from scratch a lot. And then the financial education within our relationship, there was like a lot of these kind of barriers where Paolo was handling all the finances, and I wasn't as connected as I used to be before, because it was like we both were working. I used to be the one managing. Now that she's not working, it was like, all right, and she's like managing the finances. So that created kind of this disconnect that, it really destroyed the foundation of our finances. Yeah. Not our relationship. It was challenging in that sense, but for our finances, by the time that we realized, it was too late. And we lost our first house. We we're losing our car, like everything like just crashing down to the bottom. And then since then, I've been with my credit again being super specific. And this goes back into that story because Paola was subsidizing a lot of our living when we lost all that income with the credit cards, which obviously is just a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
So for me now, my credit is back to way up there. I think I'm like at 8, 10 or something like that.
That's nice.
So, but that's been very specific, very like even the type of credit cards we apply for, we have, we move the money to is all because it's like, how is this going to build our credit? If it doesn't, then no, we're not doing this, you know?
There's 2 great tools for those of you that are trying to increase your credit. One of them could be sponsored if you guys want to sponsor Self. Awesome tool. The other thing is to become an authorized user on someone who has great credit. So like I did it with my parents. So my parents had good credit. Yeah. And every time they pay their credit card, I actually get the credit for paying the credit card. So it looks like the history on mine is actually increasing. So I'm showing making payments on time, et cetera, et cetera. And then the Self account is basically a CD account where the company Self will loan you, let's say $500. So it looks like there's a loan in your name. And then you pay that money back, but it goes into a savings account that you get back. And what they do is they just charge a little bit of interest, right, on those things. But it's a great idea because you're technically saving money, but you're paying yourself and you're increasing your credit score.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a really good tool for people, especially helped. Young kids, like young adults and stuff like that.
That helped a lot. And then the authorized user helped a lot to increase.
Yeah. Another thing is whenever you have a option to not pay a credit card, and what I mean by option is that you don't have the money and this credit card bill is due, is contact your credit card. Don't avoid it. Don't
don't ignore it.
Don't ignore it. You deal with it head on. You talk to the credit card. You explain to them. That's going to be your best bet to mitigate the damages that happen versus like, I don't get the money. Let me just avoid this. And when I'll get the money in the future, I'll take care of it. That puts you in a worse position.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a huge part of what we learned, that destroyed our credit.
All right, everybody. That's another episode of Mindset U. I think I learned something today. I'm not exactly sure, but I'll have to rewatch it when I edit it to find out if I actually did learn something. It was a great episode about finance. Like I said in the beginning, spend all your money, hide it under your mattress, sell your kids if you have to. Do what you got to do. It's okay. We understand.
Logan liked that one.
Yeah. Especially sell the first kid that lets their phone ring during the podcast and then runs away when they see their father's face of pure anger. Sell that one first. Guys, don't forget to check us out on VidaProject.com, where you can find out how to sell your kid. There's also Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you can find out how to listen to us. It's there. And search the dark web for Rance's first kid. That's going to be on there. All right, guys.
Make sure you share this with a friend. Comment. Let us know your experience and your thoughts on finances and how you've managed these situations, or if
you've ever sold a kid.